I'm really glad that you had time to talk with me today, and I'm really grateful. I know you have a busy schedule. To kick off this session, maybe tell us more about your background and how did you end up as an AI prominent figure? Mainly LinkedIn, online, but offline. You host a lot of events and you talk a lot about it. Yeah, maybe kick off with that, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Like my technical background is technical. My background is technical, right? I'm computer scientist. I remember, like my early years, I was coding mainly on, like Java, C++, all the stuff. Then I moved more into, like sales roles, business development. So I've been working for so many years at Vodafone here in Spain, but also in other countries. I was in South Africa for almost 3 years, also in the UK. And I could say 7, 8 years ago, I transitioned into this world of big data science analytics. I did a postgraduate program on data science. So essentially, like I was coding on Python, trying like to train typical ML models to detect, I don't know, some from the customers, customer segmentation, sentiment analysis, like all these predictive models. And like I was there for 2 to 3 years. It was like the very early days. It was like even the story for most of the customers, like AI, ML. By that time, it was mainly ML. That was not a priority. Most of the things, it was like pure analytics, trying to get some insights from data. And then I moved into AWS 3 years ago to lead, like MLOps efforts here in EMEA, and then more into generative AI with all this boom from, like LLMs coming from OpenAI and so on. And yeah, this is what I'm doing right now. Like this is more like a business role, or it's a non-technical role, but I still have like very technical backgrounds. Typically, like I help customers in a lot of like discussions about when and how to use generative AI, our current tech stack of AWS, but also I'm driving like any go-to-market motion related to AI. So that means essentially how we can help our services to grow on like on the customer side, how to close the bridge between what the customers they are telling us and what we are building to our customers. So yeah, this is what I'm doing most of the time. A lot of like public speaking as well. And you were asking me about LinkedIn, right? So I always say the same story, right? Because the people ask me like, hey, what did you do to create your this community on LinkedIn and so on? To be honest, I never had a plan. I still don't have a plan. I'm not using LinkedIn as like a source of income to me. It's more to have fun, to be with people, to establish connections, to have a lot of fun. If you look into my content, I never publish or I never post stuff to promote things, to sponsor things. Yeah. I don't like that part of LinkedIn. I like to use LinkedIn in a very natural way to establish these kind of relationships. And it was completely unexpected. I don't consider myself like a very interesting person, to be honest. So sometimes I'm still like asking myself why people is still following me. Hey, I'm not sure if it's interested enough, the things that I'm publishing, but I really love to be connected with so many people. I know sometimes to me it's complicated because I know right now it takes a lot of time to be up to date, to keep things clean on LinkedIn, to be in touch with most of the people. I know like sometimes like I have like many connection requests, messages that unfortunately sometimes I'm not able to answer and I don't feel super good about it. But yeah, I try always to do my best. And I'm having a lot of fun there, to be honest.
Hopefully the people that would love to connect to do what I'm doing right now, maybe by sharing this video, it might help them out.
Yeah, I hope so. But 99% of the times or 95% of the times, I try to answer the message. Perfect. Sometimes like it's taking a bit longer, but most of the times answering every single message.
The secret is patience and resilience, and we're gonna talk about it in this talk. I have a question because you actually come from a technical background. You've seen AI with less sexier, let's say, labels when it's more traditional software, etc. What's your take on the moment that ChatGPT exploded and so much attraction went on? I first heard about AI in 2017. Maybe it's late, maybe it's early. It depends on what people view when they came in this topic. But why mainstream people are so compelled about this phenomenon today, but not a few years ago?
Yeah, you're right. I think like the ChatGPT moment, it was already defined before and after. Before ChatGPT, nobody, or like most of the like regular people, they didn't have any idea about what AI meant, what you could do with AI, or even ML, or even data. It was the last priority for most of the people. And just like a good example, it was like the conversations that I used to have with my friends. Nobody, or most of them, they knew that like I was working on some weird stuff about data, but never interested about what I was doing for living. After ChatGPT moment, it was like, hey, this guy is working really cool stuff, hey? Because the reality is, and I think in this case, like OpenAI did it great because they were able to democratize the access to AI in some manner. I think ChatGPT was like, Transformers was there for so many time, and it was only OpenAI, the one that they really pushed to this and to say, hey, we can use this for like much more than just doing kind of like translations and so on. And the point, like it was like a real productivity tool. Yeah, you can do a lot of like silly stuff with ChatGPT, like ChatGPT or any other like AI tool.
Yeah.
But the reality is it's really helping you for so many things. I remember talking to a friend, and this was like 2.5 years ago. This is not like just yesterday, right? 2.5 years ago. And by that time, not so many people even knew about ChatGPT. I think I'm talking about ChatGPT or GPT-3, right? That it was like very damp by the time. He was telling me like they were using it to create the dossiers of his company, to analyze different offers, publish to the people, like typical stuff that maybe it used to take like a week and they were doing in 1 or 2 days. And that was the time that I realized, hey, things are going to move super fast and things are going to change drastically. So I absolutely agree. This is not new. ChatGPT is not something new. Like we've been working for AI for such a long time. But ChatGPT was able to democratize the access. And right now, like everyone is using the ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Claude, or any other productivity tool like a Napkin, Notion, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think in some manner it's thanks to OpenAI, to be honest.
Yeah, thanks for this answer. To make ChatGPT or any other LLM this democratized and easy to use, we transitioned from coding with code, like programming with code, to NLP, so natural language programming. You used to say more about you have a lot of fun about telling us about vibe coding, which is similar than NLP, but you tell me if I'm wrong. How did the technology switch it so quick, so good, let's say, to be that we are able to program with natural language?
Yeah, like we used to look back, right? And we look back and we analyze where we were like 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, or even 1 year ago, and where we are today. And the curve is so exponential. It's almost vertical. And we try to say, okay, if this is where we are coming from, we are expecting like in 2 or 3 years' time to have this kind of evolution. And sometimes I'm not sure if this is something that is going to happen. And it's the same, any single innovation, all the curves, they are not like exponential till infinity. Like at some point of time, they get more steady and so on. So I don't know what is going to happen in 2 or 3 years' time. What I'm sure is that if we want to see the same, like innovation pace, with the technology that we are using today, like by technology, I'm talking about like transformers and so on, I think it's not going to happen. I think something new needs to come on the table. But you were asking me about coding. And I think if you are a programmer, if you are a software developer, I'm putting there like any kind of like developer, a front-end developer, back-end developer, ML engineer, AI engineer, DevOps, whatever, AI has helped a lot. By far, using AI for coding, at least like in the enterprise segment, is the top one use case. I'm not talking about consumer. Consumer is a different story. People is asking or using AI to give advice about the way of living, how to cook, and that's bullshit, right? It's not like real, like example.
There's no business value on it.
but if maybe like to know how to cook, it's a good value for some of them. But like speaking about like real enterprise or like corporate segment, coding is the first use case. But the way you need to use AI to code is if you already know how to code. And I always do the same analogy, right? And it's about piloting, right? If you're piloting a plane, you need how to pilot. If you're using the autopilot, you need to know how to, because you can have any problem at any moment and you need to know how to land plane, whatever. So with coding, it's exactly the same thing. Because you know what you want to code, you can use AI to code. At the end of the day, if you're giving all the instructions in natural language in English, it's pretty much the same like coding in Python. You are just sending the like libraries or the like a coding literature by expression in English, but it's exactly the same thing. Just call it English, but you are doing the same thing. The problem is like, if you are not new to code, if you don't have any experience on coding, using AI can be very dangerous. Of course, you can build prototypes, you can build POCs, and you can democratize. If you are a product manager, you don't need to leverage a software developer. You can start, iterating and, building some kind of POC. But one thing is to build a POC by using AI. A different thing is to build something that is like a production ready, it's reliable, it's scalable, it has robustness. So this is a different story. That's why vibe coding in my case is okay. Vibe coding is someone that knows perfectly how to code and they use AI to boost the productivity. A different thing is, hey, I don't have any idea about what it's coding, what is software developer, what is CI/CD, what is unit testing, what is integration testing, what is whatever. And then I try to build my application. That's a different story.
Yeah, makes sense. And how, like today, we use a lot, or we rely a lot anyway, in, let's say, the most interaction, most interest is linked to LLMs, which are not the single technology that we can use in AI, but let's put the focus on, because every day, like, it seems to have a new feature, new model. It's also linked to I think countries war in sense, like China, when it dropped the DeepSeek moment, we felt that China was ahead of what was going on in US, because they did it with 10x the cost or even less. And it feels countries nowadays are not only like comparing themselves with GDP or finance stuff, but in technology as well. What are the resources that LLM needs, or country or business, to create LLMs? Because it feels like it's really costly in terms of resources and data. It needs to be available. What are the limits to create LLM? And do we know how it actually is created? Because I've spoken to other AI specialists. It seems like people don't know how the LLM is constructed. Do you have any clue about it?
So it's very easy to know what you think, right? Or what you need, sorry. You need data, you need compute, and you need good research scientists. It's the only thing you need. You need these three things. You need resources, where it's people, high skilled people, you need data, and you need compute. It's end of the story. There is no like a secret source right now. Everyone is building on top of transformers. Better or worse, you can build a good LLM. Or at least, maybe you are not OpenAI or you are not Anthropic, but you can train a model that is or that it was state of the art a few months ago. The thing is why you need to do that? Because the reality is there is not huge difference between one model or the other. And because it's very costly, you need to justify why to train a model from scratch. If you already have there Llama, for example, that many people is building on top of Llama because it's open weights and you can build stuff on that. So if you're not going to build something that is better than Llama and you can just take it for free, of course you have the licensing and so on, but you can essentially you can take it for free. I don't see the point to train a model from scratch. And that's the main problem for LLM providers right now. Like all the LLM providers like OpenAI, Anthropic, Mistral. And the discussion is about how to be profitable in the long term. That's the main problem. Yeah, you're training models, you're getting a lot of traction with the customers, but still the amount of money that you need to train and to run these models is not it's much more than the amount of money that you're going to get from your customers. I think recently, Sam Altman from OpenAI said, hey, our GPT Pro subscribers that they have to pay $200 per month. He confessed that they are not even making money with that. So I feel like this is very costly. And at some point of time, venture capitals investors, they're going to stop investing because they need to justify that. So I think that's the first aspect to consider. So there is not a secret source, to be honest. And the other aspect, right, about LLMs, evolution, and so on, what you were asking me, can you rephrase me the question?
Yeah, just in general, take how it works. You told
how
me
it
about
works,
it.
right?
Yeah.
There is one point, and I think, for example, in this space, Anthropic is doing a great job in terms of research, trying to understand how LLMs work, because everyone knows about transformers architecture, this self-attention mechanism, but at the end of the day, you have a lot of neural networks behind the scenes, how they can recalculate the weights, how they propagate the weights to understand why the model is saying some specific information, still is very unclear to most of them. That's the reality. And it's the interpretability part. They don't know why the model is saying this thing instead of the other. I know there are some works or like research works by Anthropic. One was called like the Golden Gate Bridge, where they can like define where the knowledge is stored in some weights of the neural network. So they can touch the different weights. And this was a nice example because like you were asking, for example, the LLM, okay, nothing is good land, and the model, because they were like just using the layers where like all the information related to the Golden Bridge was stored. If you were asking the model, like, hey, nothing is better than taking a walk through the Golden Gate Bridge. So they were more or less able to define, okay, where you are storing like the information, but it still is like very like reduced scope for like trying to identify these kind of things. But the reality is like right now, most of the providers, they even don't know very clearly how the LLMs work behind the scenes.
Okay. And when you're integrating with clients, because let's not forget, you have a big role in AWS, EMEA, so Europe, Middle East, Africa. When you integrate to clients, do they ask for foundation models right now, or they are still, what kind of solution are you integrating mostly? As we understood that LLM are costly, it hallucinates if it's not well defined, etc. Do clients like know the difference?
Yeah, no, I think the customer already, they are like very mature. During the last couple of years or 3 years, like this has evolved a lot. And we have in our website a lot of like successful customer stories from customers like by using generative AI. We have customers like BMW, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, the New York Stock Exchange. If people wants to know a bit more about like how customers are using generative AI, I recommend to go to like through the AWS website. I think it's called AI Explorer within AWS, and they can like analyze how the customers are using it. Because what I like about this situation is, okay, this is like real stuff. This is not like like theoretical stuff about how like Gen AI can improve or can help you to be more efficient, more productive, or to sell more, but it's like real customer stories. At the end of the day, like it depends on the customer use case. Like for some use cases, of course, customers are using generative AI. The reality is you can fit generative AI in many use cases. It's becoming super cost effective. I remember if we analyze like the pricing of like these solutions 3 years ago, and we compare with the pricing we have today, it has dropped dramatically. So right now it's much more cost effective, but also like it depends on the LLMs you are using. You have models like, for example, in AWS, Nova Micro, that like it's more than 100 times cheaper than other models, because maybe you don't need to have a big, super powerful model. You have like very specific use case where you just need like a simple model that can be like good enough, can be fast, can be cost effective. So at the end of the day, like it depends on the use case. Yeah.
Perfect. And what kind of jobs today or roles AWS in the consulting part is providing? So a client or even the consultant, I don't know, the person that is helping the client integrate the right model is doing the advisory, because there are so many models. Like, what benchmark comparison is mostly looked at in terms of choosing the right solution today?
So right now, most of the times, it's already the customer who is in a good position to define which is the best model to use. Like every single model have information about, like which are the top use cases, context window, input tokens, post latency, and you have benchmark on, like a different, data sets. But most of the times right now, the customers, they have their own eval metrics, right? So when they have a use case, they have their own eval metrics, and they define, okay, for this specific use case, I'm going to test these 4 to 10 different models. Because if they want to do, I don't know, text summarization, they may know like, okay, Claude, Mistral, and I don't know, this other model is, we know like it's working fine for this specific use case.
Okay.
And then they compare all the use cases. So like we can provide some kind of like advice in terms of, hey, you have all these models. For some use cases, it's better to use one or the other. But at the end of the day, the customer is going to have their own eval metrics, and they need to evaluate the models in the eval metrics. And a good example is like when they are releasing LM providers, when they are releasing models, and when you see the benchmark, many times they're even like tuning the models, not tuning the models, like they're using the test data set on the training data. So you see like amazing benchmark results, and then like in real stories, it's a bit different, right? So I think that's why you cannot trust 100% all the benchmark. You need to use it, you need to test it in your own data, and then you can define or you can decide which is better versus the other.
Okay, thank you for the answer. Yeah, it makes total sense. Do you see like agentic AI replacing traditional editors and softwares that are more like, let's say, have delay in terms of integrating AI in their work? How do you see tomorrow in terms of solutions, in terms of interface? Some people say that software is going to be dead. What do they mean by that? Do you have
Well,
a vision of how things
I
can run?
think, to be honest, software is not going to be dead, but it's going to be accelerated. It's actually the opposite. One of the things that you can do because of AI, because of agents, is to boost a lot of productivity, and like you are going to reduce the cycles to build products. So the only difference, okay, what do you used to take 1 year just to build some product, maybe it's going to take 1 month, if not less. So I think this is when it's going to happen. We are going to have like more requirements to AI engineers, ML engineers, AI governance. So it's not going to disappear. AI agents, I think, is not about like replacing people. It's about like complementing what we can do. At the end of the day, like it's always super important. Like human in the loop, collaboration between AI and humans. Of course, there are some use cases where maybe you don't need a human. That is like a super basic stuff. Let's say I want to request my holidays, or I just want to take, I don't know, change the PIN of my like credit card. And then I need to talk to somebody. I need to verify my identity. I need to go into one system, then into another system. So some process that maybe is taking a couple of minutes and like, or even more, you can just automate it by using AI agents. So I think like tasks that they don't provide any value, for sure will be automated with agents, but in most of the cases, it's going to be like a human and AI collaboration.
Okay. Because we in Salesforce they use Agentforce, so we have
Yeah,
been
Agent
trained.
Force.
Yeah, we have been trained, so it's grounded with the customer data. So if a client has a customer service and asking to an Agentforce digital labor, let's say, some things like to book a place with his preference, it can actually use the data that it has to orient to the best places around, for example. This is kind of the use case that I see most with the CRM anyway, because
Yeah.
I'm still in the CRM. So you say that tomorrow it's still interesting, this kind of work. So there is human behind, but if the process is automated to an agent, it still doesn't replace the software, because software is used, for example, to collect the data for the client.
Yeah, correct.
To have a background. Okay, makes sense. One of the last questions, because we have booked just like 40 minutes or even less. If you had 5 brilliant people with you, what kind of venture you would develop or fund today?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know.
Okay. What roles would you be looking at least?
If I would have to hire 5 people right now.
Yes. What kind of role that you would be looking?
Yeah, so you need to have like a business and non-business, or technical and non-technical people, right? What I do believe, maybe not now, but in 3 to 5 years' time, everyone knows to know about how to use AI. And the same, like people how to know how to use AI in the past, or sorry, how to use like internet, how to use Excel, how to use PowerPoint, how to use Access. I think it's going to be the same with AI. So like when we used to talk about the prompt engineering as a like isolated role, I don't think this is going to evolve, because in some manner, everyone should know how to do prompt engineering. Some roles related to like typical roles like like data engineer, data scientists, AI engineers, for sure, like research scientists. You are going to need always these people. But then you also need to have, like the bridge between, like this AI world and the business side, right? So you need to understand how to transform what you can do with AI into business value. And to do that, you need like a people who knows the business, who understand like the industry, who understand the benefits for the end customer. And this is also something that like every single customer needs to have. So what I think is you are going to have like more heterogeneous teams, where you have these cross-functional teams from people coming from many different like backgrounds. Instead of having very isolated team.
Yeah.
Okay, have IT from. So what I don't think is going to happen in the future, IT from one side, data and AI from the other, business from the other. I think it's going to be like more like cross-functional teams.
Amazing. Okay. Great insight. Haven't looked at it that way. Last question, as you travel a lot, Do you see comparison? You talk about it though, but let's put it more into other, like in a new idea. As you go to UAE and you're based in Europe, so you see the difference, the gap, like the funding, the power of implementing new projects, maybe the politics behind how they handle the governance and the data. What do you feel is mostly emerging right now that is interesting for AI? In which zones?
So I think it depends on the region, right? I think right now, clearly, the US is ahead of this race. They were the first to start. They have like the talent, they have the big clusters to train these models, they have the investment, venture capitals, investors, they're there, they have very good research scientists, they have access to a lot of data. So I think like right now, like the US is a bit ahead, but just because like they have been, and I'm not talking about GenAI, I'm talking about like AI in general, because they've been doing this for such a long time. We used to say US was inventing, China was copying, and then like Europe was regulating. I don't think China is copying anymore. And DeepSeek is a good example. They were not just copying, they were creating very new cool stuff. The way how they create like a DeepSeeker one for the reasoning model, how do they do the reinforcement learning, I think is pretty cool because it was something completely new. No one did it before. So I think like China right now, I think it's pretty much at the same level that the US. And they're like creating models like they're like super efficient, super fast. So I think like it's a very nice and good competition.
Okay.
I think in Europe we have great examples of people like of companies doing like great stuff like Mistral that they are in France. I think it's an LLM provider and they're doing great stuff. 11 Labs, it's also from Europe. In the Middle East, we have TAI. Middle East is a good example because they are investing a lot of money to be also ahead in this AI race, and they are doing pretty well. TAI, again, is a good example, but I was last week in Dubai. I was talking to a lot of founders, and they have created a great ecosystem of like AI startups. So I think a lot of innovation is going to come there. Related to Europe, again, UK, I think is doing pretty well. France as well. People usually talk about regulation, and I know in some cases we need to have regulation ready to AI. We cannot do whatever we want, and it's important because AI also comes with a lot of responsibilities, how to use it for the good. And we are already seeing it right now in terms of fake content, misinformation, disinformation. This is something that we need to pay attention to, right? How to use the data. You cannot use all the data you want to train these models. The thing is like how to do the regulation in the right manner. Sometimes because innovation is going much faster than regulation, that's the main gap, right? But again, I think regulation needs to be there, and it's something that is going to happen all the time. And of course, like different regions moving at different paces right now.
Yeah, so every region has its own pros and cons, which follow the same story. Thank you, Eduardo, for your time. It was a real pleasure. Thank you for your insight. Would love to share the content very soon, so I will let you know. Keep shining and informing us on what's new to the LinkedIn community and all the rest. Have a good day.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. And it was a pleasure talking to you. Yeah.
Thank you, Eduardo. Maybe see you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care. Cheers.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.